Hey, what's up team? That regular guy reporting in today, and so what I'm bringing you is the first design of our T-shirt cannon that we're going to be using at like wedding socials and clubs and things like that. And so basically there were a few issues that we had. For one, we had a blue pressure gun that actually the max pressure on it was 100 psi, and we ended up having to replace it because we needed to push about 160 psi into our pressurization chamber. But we'll show you what our first iteration basically looks like, and then I'll upload a part 2 so you can see our amped version of the gun. And while we were making everything, it took us about a day and a half to make the first iteration and the second iteration. And while we were making it, we also got our mugs. And so the first iteration has about a 9-inch chamber of 1 inch. So in total, there's 9 inches of diameter worth of pressure at about 160 psi. We had it at, and then it turned out for the first iteration that we accidentally put in about 400 pounds of pressure in the pressurized in 9 inches of diameter of PVC, which is rated at 450 psi. Well, the thing was, we were using ABS glue on the back and not PVC cement, so the fitting on the back actually blew off, and a piece of glue came out and it pierced one of the team members' hands. It went right through both sides. So first off, viewer discretion, don't do this at home unless you're willing to accept the risks, because it is dangerous. But all in all, he's fine. He's moving his hand now. The next day he was moving his hand, and he's good to go. But yes, there definitely is some risk associated with this. Other than that, it was a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video here, and we'll do some test firings and everything else that you'll see later on. So, okay, so here we have all of the material that we used in the construction of the T-shirt cannon. We also have the blue regulator here, which is no good because it only could handle 100 psi, so we replaced that later. Now here you can see one of the screw-in fittings that go into the 2-inch coupler so that we can move up to a 2-inch barrel at the front of the gun. And here you can see the ball valve, and then it has 2 1-inch PVC screw-ins on either side so that we can keep that 1-inch chamber for the pressurization, and then we can move up to our 2-inch barrel. Here we have the valve stem that we use to pressurize the gun in the pressurization chamber. We just drill that out. And then we put that in there, and that's our hookup to pressurize the gun. And here is our first iteration. You can see how big it is. It's not really that big. It's about 4 feet, 3.5 feet. And here's another picture of that. It's incredibly light, and it worked really well. It just couldn't withstand higher pressures in the back area there where the valve stem is, because we used ABS glue there. And then here's the new pressure gun that can withstand the higher pressure, and we also put in a pressure regulator, and that definitely helped keep us with consistent pressures when we turn on the CO2. And then here's what it looks like when it's attached to the inline regulator. In the second iteration, we did have to replace this regulator because it couldn't withstand the higher pressures of the CO2, so we did end up replacing that. Okay guys, so here is the shirt gun design. Now I'm going to go through everything. So first off, we have our knob on the top, and once we screw this in, it pressurizes the line with the CO2. CO2 comes in about 850 psi, right? So it runs through this line, which we'll have in our backpack or something like that. And then it goes over to here to this this is 1/8 NPT, and then we have an adapter here that couples it to a 1/4 inch NPT, and then here, sorry guys, we have our inline pressure regulator, which is going to regulate it to whatever we set on the dial. So, to turn this over, you guys can see there's a little dial here. We just turn that, and then we can adjust the pressure that's coming through the regulator. Now that pressure runs into this gun, and this gun has a pressure release here. So if the pressure is too high, it'll just release it. And this gun will do up to 220, whereas the regulator only goes up to 160. So it should only output maximum 160 into here. So first off, let's go back through this. 850 coming through here. Regulates it down to 160. Comes through the gun at 160. So this is our pressure chamber. It's about 8 inches long or so. And then we have our ball valve here, where if we just turn it, it'd be the other way. But you just turn it, and then it will release the pressure built in from the pressure chamber. And then it will launch the shirt from a 1-inch barrel, which is upsized to a 2-inch barrel, all the way out and then to our destination. So that's the overall design of our shirt gun. And each time after you fire a shirt, you simply pull the trigger here, and then it'll pressurize the pressure chamber again. And then we'll have a reading here, which will tell us what the pressure is in the pressure chamber, right? And then you release the ball valve again, and then boom, it'll just blow a shirt right out of there. Okay, so here is going to be our first test fire sequence. We're just going to pressurize to 140 or 150 psi. So yeah, let's get this sucker going. Just pound it on. Okay, here we go. You can see the gauge. Okay, it's maxed out. Now we can take this off. Okay, there we go. Now we still have pressure in here, so we should be able to turn the ball valve and fire the gun. It works. Okay, it works. Right on.
We're gonna need a little more pressure.
Yeah, but it works.
The idea is here.
Yeah.
Test firing here. Let's pressurize. You can see that. Okay, we're maxed out. Here we go. Let's test fire and check our distance.
Fire.
Okay, testing distance. 1, 2, 3, 5, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37.
So guys, as you saw in that video on our test, we were able to get about 40 feet of distance with a shirt outside with the wind blowing, about 40 feet. And now realize we didn't even tape that shirt. Like, if you tape both ends, when you shoot the projectile, it doesn't open up, because when it opens up, it works kind of like a parachute. You get more resistance from the air and everything like that. But when you tape both sides, you get way more distance. So 160 psi ish. We got about 40 feet with 9 inches of diameter in total. So what happens if we amp it up to 18? It should be double, right? Check part 2 and find out. As always, guys, stay regular.
Okay, we got our shirt gun here, and it's pressurized right now for 160 psi. So we're gonna give it a fire here at our first target.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
It's got some